Okay, in the world of high stakes diplomacy, words are everything. So when the President of the United States comes out and says this, and then not even 48 hours later, he says this, well, you've got to ask yourself, what on earth just happened? So let's unpack this diplomatic mystery, shall we? We're going to trace exactly how a message of, total agreement with Iran just completely dissolved into threats and confusion. And all of this happened over just one weekend.
All right, first up, we need to track this absolutely chaotic back and forth. This is a perfect textbook example of what can go wrong when you try to handle super sensitive talks out in the open in real time.
So here's how this whirlwind timeline played out. You have this massive, blockbuster announcement on a Friday afternoon, and then boom, almost right away, it's followed by a sharp denial, then a bit of a backtrack, and then just total chaos over something as simple as who's traveling where. Honestly, it's the sheer speed of this breakdown that is just stunning. Okay, let's rewind and start right at the beginning. That moment on Friday afternoon when it really seemed like we were on the verge of a historic breakthrough. So the news actually breaks during a phone interview. And the president's statement, it couldn't have been more direct. He basically said a full deal was done. You have to understand, in a diplomatic world, a statement like that is a political earthquake. It's huge. So what exactly was in this supposed deal? Well, according to the president, Iran had agreed to two massive things. First, they were going to work with the U.S. to get rid of their enriched uranium. And second, they'd cut ties with proxy groups in the region. If true, these would be absolute game changers. And this news had an immediate, real-world effect. It hit right before the markets closed for the weekend. And just the idea of peace sent oil prices way down and stocks jumping up. For a hot minute there, it really looked like a massive diplomatic win. But yeah, that victory lap, it didn't last long at all. Just a few hours later, the whole foundation of this deal started to crumble. And it started with a really direct statement coming out of Tehran. And look, Iran's response wasn't some subtle, let's correct the record kind of diplomatic note. No way. This was a flat-out, total rejection of the main part of the deal President Trump had just announced. They made it crystal clear. Their uranium wasn't going anywhere, period. So now you've got these two positions that are just polar opposites. On one side, the U.S. is talking about removing uranium and a meeting on Monday. On the other side, Iran is saying absolutely not to the uranium and that there are no plans to even meet. The gap between them was just enormous. Right. So this immediately begs the question, right? Was this just wishful thinking? Maybe a public negotiating tactic? Or did someone genuinely misread the entire situation? Suddenly, the whole world was scrambling to figure out what was actually going on. Okay, so by Friday evening, Iran's denial is out there for everyone to see. The pressure is squarely on the White House to clarify things. The message starts to change, but it definitely doesn't get any clearer. When the president talks to reporters later that evening, his whole tone is different. You know that earlier confidence of they've agreed to everything? That was gone. It was replaced with a much softer take, basically saying, yeah, there might be some differences, but they're not that big of a deal. And as if the confusion over the actual deal wasn't enough, things got even weirder. The simple logistics, like who was going where and when, it all turned into a complete mess. So check this out. By Monday morning, you have three totally different stories about the travel plans. The president gives a specific time for arrival. A White House official just says vaguely, soon. In Iran, they're saying no talks are even planned. It's just a perfect picture of the total chaos. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's just this cloud of deep uncertainty. After 48 hours of these wild headlines, nobody really knew anything. The world was left with way more questions than answers. And by Monday, the whole situation was really on a knife's edge. You've got a deal that's being publicly shot down, the official U.S. position is foggy at best, and no one can even figure out the travel plans. And here's the kicker. All of this is happening while a super fragile 2-week ceasefire is literally about to run out. And that's why all of this really matters. This wasn't just some political drama. This messaging whiplash had real consequences. It rattled the global markets, it made U.S. allies nervous and confused, and it just created chaos for anyone trying to figure out if peace was even possible. So this whole 48-hour mystery really leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it?
It's this powerful reminder of just how risky it is when these kinds of negotiations spill out into the public. It makes you wonder, in the super delicate dance of diplomacy, where's the line between a smart public move and a seriously damaging mistake? And maybe more importantly, who ends up paying the price when that line gets crossed?